Okay, I'll now move ahead and explain you the Mongo schema and Mongo model. So what is a Mongoose model and a Mongoose schema? Like I said, so in SQL, in the structured query language, which is developed by people at Oracle and Microsoft and all that companies, you have to denote a specific pattern. Okay, that every single, let's say I'm building a student table in my database. Okay, everything is a table at the end of the day in SQL. It's called a relation. The table is called a relation. So let's say what all parameters should a student have in the package in their relation table? A name, yeah. Any other like please let me know in the chat, because I don't want this to be a lecture or something like that. I want to keep it interactive. uh, just try to think of the different entities or the different columns that can be in that student table. Just think that you are making a list of students with their data, information in the uh, on a register or a notebook or something like that. You will have a name for that student. You will have their roll number. You will have their mobile number. You will have their branch and all that contact info. Exactly. So okay, I have no problem. I'll just walk you through that. Just let me know what was the last bit that you heard, and I'll repeat from that. I'll try to give you a quick overview. So I was talking about SQL tables, but MongoDB does not have any such thing called a structure. Okay, so you were in the listen 400 part. So nothing. I just wrote this bit of code, which was for the GET request. You can just see this code. Basically, what this allows you to do is this request object has the every single piece of data which is required for the processing of request is in the request variable. Okay, and all the output that you will be sending to the user is in the response variable. Okay, this is how Express works. Okay, so in the request dot query object you have this num variable. Okay, how do I know that? Because I am passing it in the browser. Okay, I am doing localhost 4000 num equals to webhub. Okay, so when I hit enter, I get back webhub. Okay, so this is the request.query.num variable because I know what I passed. Okay, so I take that variable. You can also store it in a separate variable if that helps you understand better. Okay, request.query.num, and then you can send back this number to the user. Okay, return request result.status 200.send num. Okay, so this is one way to proceed about it, and you will get this output. This is not relevant to the final product. I'm just giving you as an example. So this is what I taught while you were away, mostly. Uh, as for coming back to the subject of MongoDB, you are not required to have a particular structure in your backend. Okay, you can SQL requires you to have only n number of columns and already specify that in advance. Mongo has no such limitation. Okay, it allows you to have two columns in one row of the table. Like one student can only have a name and a roll number. Other student might have 10 other fields like their address, their relative name, their father's name, mother's name, all of that. And there could be a third row which has nothing. Okay, it is empty. And that is very flexible. Okay, and in fact that is too flexible for our requirement. Okay, because the app that I am building today with you guys is a music app, right? I require a song name, I require an artist name, I require an album art, and I require a song URL. Because without these four compulsory fields I cannot do anything, right? So what does Mongoose and a Mongoose schema do is, although although it is totally acceptable for MongoDB to have different lengths of fields and totally crazy sort of rows, we don't want that. We want some sort of structure, because if there is no structure in your code and in your API, let's say you built an API and deployed it on Microsoft Azure and you gave me the API, but the response is unpredictable, right? That is very bad for me as a front-end developer because I don't know how your code might change. Let's say you did some like one time I got an output that had 10 fields. I made my whole app based on those 10 fields. But next time when I'm getting a response, I'm only getting 2 fields. So my app will crash because it has missing data. And I cannot predict that because it is your API. So to ensure some structure in the code, we have Mongo schema. Okay. Mongo schema in a way is a blueprint. Okay. What do I mean by blueprint? It has the representation that yes, at the end of the day, the code is supposed to look like this. I hope my screen is visible. I'll show you the finished code of the schema so that you will have a good idea of what I mean. Like this is the best explanation that I think you can have. So we are building this uh, song app, right? Music app. So this is my schema, this part. So if you obviously you probably won't understand the code in this as of now, but you can get the gist that I am having 4 fields. One is called name, other is called artist, third is called image URL, and other is a song URL. So by having this, MongoDB or Mongoose won't allow the user to enter more than these 4 fields, and it will only allow you to enter if you give me all 4 of these fields. Okay, so you have curbed or you can say restricted something to your requirements. And in my opinion, for beginner developers, this is a much better approach because sometimes giving the whole data or you can say the whole picture or understanding the whole picture can be very difficult, okay, for a beginner. So what Mongoose allows you to do is you get to pick what level of difficulty or what level of flexibility you want. SQL doesn't really allow you to do that, in a lot of implementation. So this is better in my opinion for beginners. So this is the schema. Okay. What is the Mongoose model? What is the difference? See, I am making the song schema here, but I go ahead and make a const model. Okay, Mongoose model using that schema. What does this line mean? Mongoose dot model song schema. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by that is that song schema is the blueprint. Okay, model, the Mongoose model is the interface. Okay, so you made the blueprint. Using that blueprint, you made an interface. This interface will be what is going to be used in the JavaScript to add a song, to delete a song, to update a song, to find a song, and all that stuff will be done using the model, not the schema. Schema is the blueprint, it is a representation. Model is built using that schema, and it is what is being used throughout the API to do app operations like add, delete, update, remove, searching, all of that. Okay, so this is the explanation. I feel that we can go ahead and write it also because we have 8 more minutes. So let's see what all we can write. I'll just remove this code from here. Uh, cool. So where do you write this code is if you follow the starter pack which I gave you. If you follow the starter pack which I gave you, you can go to this models folder. Okay, it has this song.js file. You open the song.js file, it will be empty. Okay, so we will be writing our whole code in this song.js file. So moving on, we first import Mongoose again. Okay, just like we did in the other file, because we will be using a lot of Mongoose related stuff in this file. We will have our URL regex. I'll tell you what the point of this is. I'll be blatantly copying this because this is very complicated to write on your own, and I'll also put it in the chat for those who are coding along with me. I'll explain the meaning of this. This is basically a regular expression. If you have studied it in, I'm pretty sure that it is taught to fresh, like it was taught to me as a fresher in VIT Vellore. But if you don't know, I'll give you a brief walkthrough about it, what it means. But for now, you can go ahead and paste that. Uh, const song schema. This is the other variable that we will be creating today. Const song schema is a new operator, is basically used to initialize a class object. Like if you have ever done object oriented programming languages like C++ or Java, you would know what new operator does is what it does. It allows you to initialize an object. So we will have this name key in the schema, and the type of that would be string. Obviously, you won't want a number to be the name of a song, right? You want a string, and we will pass a boolean called required, which will be true, that it is required for me to have that name, because I don't want a song which is without a name. Okay. And in our app, we set unique to true. Okay, what does unique true mean? That every song name must be unique. You can't have two songs with the same name. Okay. And you can have a debate with me about, can a song actually be like, should this be unique or not? I am just saying that for my purpose and for this app, I have kept it so. If you want, you can remove it and choose to do something different. No problem. Trim true. What does this true? So let's say I enter a song called which has a lot of spaces, and we only have 21 in the middle. That might spoil my layout. So I don't want that. So every time somebody gives me an input like this, it will automatically translate it to 21. It will remove the extra spacing from both ends. Okay, so that is the use of this trim boolean. I'll give a comma here, and now I'll enter artist colon, and I'll open the curly braces. This is also a string, because artist name should also be a string. Is it required? Yes, it's required. Trim, yes, true. And notice that I did not give unique this time, because I could have 2 or 3 songs from the same artist. Okay. Up next, we have image URL. Sorry, this is wrong syntax. This is how it's supposed to be. Image underscore URL. Okay. So we have type. Again, the URL has to be a string. It can't be a number. It can't be a boolean. Required, yes. If I don't have an image URL, how will I render my album art? Right? Required is true. Validate. Okay, this is where the regex will come into play. Validate means that not every string which you give me will be a URL, right? So I have passed this URL regex variable, which will ensure that the image URL that is being given to me by the user is actually a URL or not. Okay. I'll explain, and I'll also test it with you guys after I'm done writing this code. Very little code is left in this file. I'll properly walk you through the regex part. Okay, so required is true. I require the song URL, because otherwise what will I play? Right, I need the song. Again, this will also be a URL. So I'll pass the URL regex again. So finally, our whole schema is ready. If you were writing it with me, the whole schema is ready. This is all we require for building our song table in the backend. So now we will make the model out of it. Like I said, the model is different from the schema, and this is what we will use for our purposes in the rest of the app. So what do we want to call this model? The song model. Okay. This is the name of the model. Obviously, this might change by Mongo. It sometimes changes the names. I have a reason. It has a reason why it does that. And you have to pass the song schema so that it makes the model. And then you do module.exports song. Okay. So basically, if you paid close attention, I am not exporting the schema. Okay. I am writing it, but I'm not exporting it. But I'm only exporting the model. this is model, not schema, because the schema has no use in the rest of the API. Okay, so the whole API will be dependent on this song model. This is song, not songs. Okay, so we are exporting this model. Now we have defined our whole song model. Now let's see this regex. What does this mean? And after that, we will wind up the session. We have 1 more minute left. Uh, I think we have a regex tester website. Yeah, regex 101. So basically, you will notice that this regex, which we have written, it is very complicated and you can find it on Google. You don't have to memorize it. So this is the whole API. So in most cases, it should match, or you can say it should work with, it should identify a URL. Okay, what is this? Okay, okay. See, it identified this as a URL. Okay, but it might not identify this as a URL. See, this, it does not identify any random string as a URL. Okay, so that was the difference that this makes. Okay, see, it is identifying google.com as a proper regex, but not that. Okay, so that was all about regex. I think this is good enough for our purposes.